maybe I should slowly get into starting the episode.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Okay, so the audio is kind of right. I have to talk from the stomach again.
Yeah. I can talk in my ooh voice if that gets you more viewers, listeners.
My ooh voice.
Probably not.
Why?
I can already hear like some of my friends trying to shove their headphones even deeper into their ears.
Well, what's wrong with your friends? Are they like gay or something? I don't get it.
You know, the funny thing about this podcast is that the audience is like 65% women.
Holy shit.
Which is weird for a podcast like this. It's like, why?
But are they your friends or you don't know?
Most of them are my friends, but the others that are not my friends are women.
I mean,
I don't even know where Spotify got this statistic from. It just says that. Maybe it's like everybody that listens to this podcast and also listens to Cigarettes After Sex and fucking Manskin.
yeah, I know, maybe. Who knows? So
Yeah.
I think I should use my,
Ooh voice to spice things up, you know?
I don't even know how to do an Uvu voice. Like, that was fucking horrendous.
But it was pretty accurate.
Really?
Yes.
Because they do it so well. Like, the people who can just do it, like, on the spot. Like, they just go like,
Ooh, ooh, and then they just sound like this, you know? I don't know how to do it.
And you sound like a child. That's pretty uncomfortable.
I thought you were going to say that's a turn on.
No. Sounding like a child is not a turn on, except for very weird people. And with that, welcome to the podcast. As some of you might have guessed at this point, this is the first English episode, probably not the last, and I, in advance, just excuse myself for my missing words and some bad pronunciation. I'm a German. Like, the fuck can you expect?
Ugh.
I didn't say I'm French. Shout out to Maxime. At this point. Yeah, and sitting across the table from me is probably the smartest person who has, up until this point, been on this podcast. And finally, someone that isn't German or Polish.
Yes.
Like, introduce yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Chinese. So let the racism come in.
And what's your name? That would be a good point to start.
Yeah, well, you were just on about how you're German, and I'm like, you gotta make it clear that, you know, not YA. But yeah, I'm Linux. And yeah, like the computer operating system.
Like the operating system.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you just heard my uwu voice. And I'm Chinese. You know everything about me. Basically, pretty much.
That's some things to know about you. I mean, the other fact is that you got your master's now.
Yeah, thanks.
Which immediately makes you the smartest person on this podcast.
Really?
Yeah, the next best thing would probably be Eric with his study for becoming a engineer.
Fuck, that's impressive.
Yeah, but he just started it, so he's not at your level at this point.
No, but see, that's more impressive than anything that I ever do. Like,
Well,
I do filmmaking.
Yeah, that's a good point to start.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us a little something about your way of getting into filmmaking and what this field is like.
Yeah, well, I've always wanted to become a writer since like a very young age. So, you know, always the creative arts, always something like that. And then around the time of uni, I did some courses that related to film, and then I watched some really good films, and then I was just like, you know what, I could try filmmaking. So I did my master's in film productions. And in June, I just shot my very first short film, which was an experimental short, and it's very exciting. And I love the industry, but the one thing is that, you know, like anything else, because you do music, you know, that it's almost never 100% about the art.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's always about the people you work with.
Yeah. And it's about, you know, how you get money to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Which is basically taking away a lot of, you know, kind of artistic shit you want to do. Because you're always trying to look for money, trying to look for people to kind of fund your project so you can make it happen.
Yeah.
right? So, I like the industry. I love the people that I work with. But at the same time, I'm like, can I do this all the time? Because at the end of the day, it's quite, business heavy as well. So I don't know. I mean, it's not saying that it's not good. It's just another aspect to it that we need to consider.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I think with the music thing, you can like be pretty reliant on yourself because music is very much about doing the stuff yourself. And as you get more professional, you get involved with more people who do stuff for you.
Yeah.
But in the filmmaking, I think even like making something happen with like actors, and then you need people for post production, sound, and everything, camera operation. Like, it's pretty hard to do that on your own.
Yeah, it's like impossible. So, which is why I think film, the interesting thing about like a film when you think about it, because obviously before I got into, knowing more about film, when I was just an audience going to cinema watching films, I was just like, the only name that I recognize is the director.
Yeah.
But then now that having worked, with people, worked on projects, not really that professional, but still like they're professional in their own ways. They're still student projects. And I just feel like, everyone does so much work. Like every department is so important. But then as an audience, when I watch a film, I almost, the old me never really recognized anyone other than the director. When
Yeah.
actually every department has their own field of knowledge. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, which I think is really, really interesting. Because the director, you need to know a little bit of kind of everything. Or at least like how everything works. So
Yeah.
you know the practicality. But at the same time, a director couldn't know everything.
Yeah.
Because that's impossible.
Yeah,
It's
of
like
course.
having 100 different fields of studies, right?
Yeah.
You can't know every single. It's like I can't be a math genius and at the same time know everything about literature and science, and that's not possible. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing because it's just not about one person. It could never be about one person, which I think is pretty, an obvious point.
Yeah.
But
so,
yeah.
So you have to at least to some degree be a person who can socialize, or
Oh, for
at
sure.
least work with people. And that brings me to a very interesting point. Have you ever worked with people where you were like, fuck no, I can't do this shit?
Oh yeah.
Like, do you have a certain experience you can tell about where you were just like, man, just fuck off?
I mean, okay, so most of the people I've worked with are from my school,
Yeah.
and everyone is very lovely. Like everyone is nice, and everyone's very kind, very caring. But who you are as a person is at the end of the day different from who you are as a professional.
Yeah.
Some people you're friends with, but you can't work with them.
Yeah.
And vice versa, some people you work really well with, you can't be friends with them. So, this is two different kinds of things. So there are people who are very lovely, but sometimes when they're on set, they could be a bit, I don't know how to say this, but they could be a bit careless when they get stressed.
Yeah.
So, there could be some tiny bit of, disrespect towards other crew members, or there could be a lot of chaos because this person themselves is very stressed. So then, usually, obviously, if you're the director, you kind of have to take charge of the mood on set and the vibe. You have to make sure it's great. But some directors, when they get stressed, it's kind of like things don't really go well. Because, first of all, everyone's in a bad mood because of the director.
Yeah.
And then the director begins to treat people not the best, let's just say that.
Yeah.
But it's fine, it's understandable,
At the end of the day, it's just like a mixture of chemicals, and if you add the wrong chemical, you just fuck a part of it up. But you can fix it to some degree. But if you got loads of messed up chemicals, it just ends up being fucked up.
Yeah.
That's the thing I noticed about the music thing. If you have too many people going in different directions of like their creative view on the project, it just ends up being fuck all nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
When you try to get a hip hop producer together with a person who likes to do EDM,
Yeah.
you can actually have a pretty decent project. But if you then add completely different directions of musicians, like, you have to at least have some kind of coherent mess.
No, exactly.
Like, you need different types of people to have an expansion of your creative vision. But you can't, like, do too many things at once.
No. And also, like, well, I'm very lucky because I've not actually worked with anyone who's difficult.
Yeah.
Like, not actually difficult. I've had not very pleasant experiences, but it's all, like, fine. But the thing is that when you're on set, and as I said before, that because it's the communication between so many different departments that take care of pretty much different things, you know, completely different things, actually. So it's quite important that you have to communicate with each other, remembering that you have to understand and you have to listen.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes as the director, you know, maybe the cinematographer wants to give me an advice or something. You have to be open to what everyone says. You have to listen. You have to understand what they're trying to get to you instead of being like, oh, I have my vision, so no.
Yeah.
You just have to, you know, we're all creative people, right? Doesn't matter you're the director. Like, the art director is an artist. The cinematographer is an artist, right?
Yeah.
So you just got to communicate your artistic vision and make sure that it happens. Because that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. The result is what matters. And kind of the way you get there. And this brings me to another funny thing, because what the fuck happened in the audio? We had some stories on this podcast, and
Yeah.
many things. The podcast itself is about stories.
Yeah.
So, do you have any? Because in the music industry, you have crackheads, music producers, rappers, and all of them. They are crackheads.
Yeah.
Do you have any funny stories from, like, being on a set, maybe, or in the uni itself? I mean, uni stories are always great.
Yeah, I do have this one story, which was we were on a shoot and there was this it was like a shoot that was supposed to happen around 10 a.m. 11 a.m. That was the call time.
Yeah.
So then most of us got there around 10, 11, right? So every department was ready to, you know, do work. But then for some reason the shoot went on forever because there's been, you know, accidents happen, right? Or the director wasn't ready for some stuff, some props weren't ready, normal.
Yeah.
So then the shoot actually begun around 4 or 5 p.m.
Damn.
Yeah. So then we were kind of getting ready in the morning and stuff like that, which is fine, you know, it's normal. Things like that happen. And then we were getting ready around 5 or 6, and then we start shooting. And then there's this guy who's been, you know, cutting like paper cuts because we needed it for decoration. So he's just been cutting that for like the whole day. And then there was like, I don't remember what time it was. Just all in a sudden, he whips out something, and then I was like, what's up? And he's like, do you want some ketamine?
What? Was that in Berlin?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it was in Berlin.
And then I was like, no, I said, I'm good, I don't do that. And he went like, oh, well, I do, so don't mind if I do. So he started doing cat, right?
Just straight up ketamine.
And also it's like he used this card, I don't know what card it was, but like he did it just on his like back of his hand, and he just like did it. And then I watched it happen with my friend, and then both of us were just, our jaws were like on the ground. We were like, did you just do cat on a set? Also that rhymed. And then he was just like, yeah, like chill, you know. So then throughout the rest of the shoot went, I think, from like 6 p.m. till 2 a.m. And so like in between that, when he first started doing it, he just kept doing like more. And then when we wrapped the shoot, we had this like, because it was like a music video shoot, so they had like a setup.
Of course it was.
Yeah, it was
like I said, music industry, and
it was so much fun. So it was like a music video, and then they had a setup, they had like a mic and like a speaker, everything. So then we were like, oh, let's do a karaoke, right?
yeah. No.
he just did more and more cat. And then he was like, I want to do a song. And I was like, yeah, sure.
Fuck.
And then I was like, what song you want? I'll search for you on the laptop. And he
Yeah.
went like, pain. And then I was like, what pain? And he's like, just pain. And I'm like, are you okay? And he was like, no, the song is called Pain. And then I was like, okay, by who though? Because it's so generic.
Yeah.
And then he said something and I said, okay, I'll search. And I was like, I don't think it's available. So then we spent like 5 minutes trying to find the song he wants to sing. And then we finally found it, right? Which, to my surprise. And then this guy, completely high, took the mic and he was wearing this like mask from like fucking, I don't know what it's from. It's like he was on the Phantom of the Opera or some shit. Just with this fucking mask, singing his lungs out, this man. And he was high as fuck.
Yeah, high as a kite.
Yeah. So then I decided to leave with most people. We decided to leave around like 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
Damn.
And then this guy was still there with this mask, just holding the mic. And then before I left, I hugged him and I was like, it was a fun shoot. And I was like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah. And let me tell you, he was not okay.
Just tripping balls of ketamine.
Yeah, he was.
Alone.
Yeah.
Somewhere with a microphone, not even connected, screaming his ass off.
Yeah. And I think the funniest thing was because all of us were like drinking and singing. And I sang this one song, and all of a sudden I looked to the corner. He's doing that shit again with a card on the back of his hand, just doing ketamine. And then while everyone else is singing, he's just like vibing while the song. And I was just like, oh my god. And then we left, and because all of us were, we were drinking.
Yeah.
And then we got out of the house, we got some fresh air, and all of a sudden I was like more awake. So I said to my friend, I said, did he just do cat on set while we were like shooting as well? Like, did he just do that? Did that happen? And my friend was like, I hope he gets home okay. And I'm like, yeah, I hope so. But I mean, he got home okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know when he left. I don't know what happened after, but
That's the thing with... I think this is one of the most Berlin stories that's been told on this podcast. I mean, just a random ass dude after being exhausted from cutting paper for hours just goes like, yeah, fuck it. And snorts massive amounts of, like, enough ketamine to kill a horse.
I mean, like, I don't know how much he stole, but like he looked like he was having a lot of fun. He's such a cool guy. Like, he's amazing. Because like the whole morning, he was just cutting paper. And then the art director kept telling him like, that's ugly as hell. Cut that again. So he's got like hundreds of them. And then he said, I've been bullied this whole morning for my paper cutting skills. So I'm like, you know what? Have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun, my
at
man.
this point, just do ketamine.
Yeah.
Man.
So yeah, that was fun.
And I hope we get the animations ready at some point, because Amy wants to do some animation stuff.
Yeah.
This is definitely a story we have to animate. Just a dude. I think this might be one of the first highlight reels I'm gonna do. Just a dude smacked on ketamine during a shoot, just hanging in the corner like a fucking corpse. Just people going by, are you okay? Him with 1,000 yards there like,
Yeah. But you know what's impressive? My man did his job. He did like he was asked to like move stuff, like to like get things ready, like we were both production assistants. So what we did was like get things in order, if we needed food, we'll get food, whatever. Like, it's our job to do the, miscellaneous stuff that obviously the other departments don't have the time for.
yeah.
So I think what impressed me the most is that he did everything that the director and other people asked him to do. Everything. And it was like on point, I can't like
That's fucking amazing, because ketamine was originally used as a means to like tranquilize horses. It is actually something to like numb horses. And for him to just do an ungodly amount of ketamine and just creative people. Like, I always say people in the creative industries are crackheads, and most of them are functional crackheads.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you have the weed smokers everywhere,
Yeah.
but weed still has you function in a way.
Yeah.
But I once made music with Chris, and at some point, my man just whipped out, not Chris, but someone we were working with, just whipped out lean, just lean
Yeah.
and weed. And he managed to do some songs. I mean, he sounded like he was on lean,
Yeah.
but it worked.
Yeah.
And I think that guy drove me back home the same night, which was still a thing where I was like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But having someone on weed drive a car, it's like, the fuck's gonna happen when you drive at like
Yeah.
10 kilometers per hour?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, nothing will happen except for you standing in place for half an hour because the dude fell asleep.
Yeah. That's true.
Does that...
But that actually reminds me of another story with a car.
Please.
So we shot also another music video actually. So basically, but see, this time nothing, like no substance was involved.
Oh.
But it's just hilarious because we were doing a scene that was supposed to be in the car. So we're trying to, get this guy driving, and then we had the cinematographer on the other seat, so trying to, film him.
Yeah.
So obviously the driver's on the left, and our cinematographer was on the right. So he was just driving normally, and then, rapping to the song. We were playing the song. And our cinematographer were like, you know what? Let me try something. So he opened the car window, and he kind of he pushed his body outside of the window, and it kind of brought the camera, towards him. So that he gets like a nicer shot, right? So he did that, and half of his body was outside of the car. And then me and this other guy, so he was holding this LED light in the backseat. So then we can see the driver.
Yeah.
So then there was this LED light in the car, and then there was this guy with half of his body just outside of the car, and then the police stopped us. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So there was a police car.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of behind us, and then the rapper who was the main guy of the music video, he went like, oh, I think we're getting stopped by the police. And me and the other guy, who's, just to mention, he's Indian, and the two of us, we immediately went like, oh, we are going to jail.
Yes.
We are done for.
German police.
Yeah, we were like, we're done. And I was like, how's your visa looking? We're done, So I was like, fuck. So then the police stopped us. The lucky thing was that the driver, he spoke German.
Oh.
And he was white.
No,
So
that's
then-
always good. Always
yeah.
have a white guy as a driver.
Yeah. So then, the police kind of asked us a few questions like, what are you doing? Are you on anything?
How is your visa looking?
Yeah, what's the two in the back doing, They look like a different color, shit
Why are
like
they
that.
on ketamine?
Yeah, like what they're on something, aren't they? But then we were like, we just sat in the back, we didn't say anything. And then he spoke to police, everything was fine. But the police was very nice. He was just saying like, oh, we were just wondering because we saw lights in your car and there was someone just hanging out the window. So we had to stop you. And then we were like, yeah, fair. So then we drove away, right? And I said to the guy next to me, and I said, dude, if you were driving that car, all of us would be fucked.
If the Indian guy was driving the car, well, it kind of depends on the police officers you get, because there was actually a scandal. Everybody who knows a bit about the police knows it.
Yeah.
That there are some far right people in the police, which
Okay.
of fucking course.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever looked at the German military?
Yeah.
Like, the German military is just a bunch of functioning alcoholics that are leaning to the far right, which, I mean, it's their thing. But sometimes you have like progressive leftists in the police.
Yeah.
And you just have to have a very good luck with who you get and what your skin color is.
Yeah. Exactly.
Could be drawn on a graph, like
Yeah.
darkness of the skin color, progressiveness of the police officer.
Yeah. No, but that's, I mean, we had a reason to be scared, me and the Indian guy.
Yeah, of course.
Because, we were just
you're
like...
foreign.
Yeah, exactly. We're foreign. What different color? What can I say? We were just like, oh my God, thank fucking God we were in the backseat. Because if either of us was driving, I just feel like, first of all, like neither of us spoke German. Like
Yeah.
we don't speak German. So the police would just pull up to me and be like, you know, German. And I'll be like,
Huh?
yeah, I'll just be like, Dankeschön. I'll just be like, genau. Imagine.
Sehr gut, vielen Dank. Danke.
I can't even say that. I'll just be like, alles gut.
Yeah, just tell him what I taught you. Arschnase. You would have went to jail for that
I would
one.
have been deported.
Yeah.
Visa just taken away. Just bye.
Would have just took that shit, snap.
Yeah, go back to where you come from, bitch. I can't deal with that. No, but yeah, I was scared. Because obviously before that, I've never been stopped by a police here.
Yeah.
Because I don't drive here.
Yeah.
So, of course, right? But, no, but that was a fun experience. That was a fun shoot as well, another music video.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only time that I was ever like stopped by the police with my dad was like when we were driving late
Yeah.
in like the village where my grandma lives, and there is fucking nobody out there. So when the police stopped us, we were like, oh, what the fuck? And they were like to my father, have you drank anything? And his response was just so cool. He went like, no, I'm with my son. And then the other police officer came around, shined the light in, because they thought my father was driving with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Because there was just, because I was fucking 15 or
Yeah.
something. I was just sitting there like, hello, I'm a little German boy.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck is going on. And they immediately saw me, saw my father and went like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And just fucked off.
Yeah, but if you have a kid in a car, like, come on. What are you gonna do?
Well, knowing the Germans and their drinking culture, that doesn't stop many of them.
Really? Holy shit.
The Germans idolize beer to a point where it's so unhealthy. Like,
Yeah.
that's something I always bring up, even though this podcast is about some drinking and party stories. I can't really stand drunken people, and by now I'm like someone who doesn't really drink much.
Yeah.
And like for me, this whole idolization of alcohol in Germany is disgusting.
Yeah.
But I think it's a generational thing. I mean, back in the generation of our grandparents, the fuck was there to do except for go out and get fucking smacked.
Yeah.
And
Fair.
then in our parents' generation, it was like a thing they got from their parents.
Yeah.
I mean, they had more means to do things. And then in our generation, we have fucking Minecraft. Like, the fuck do we need more? We have Minecraft, we got other video games, and of course we go partying. But maybe that's just a nerd speaking out of me. But we have so much more things to do. Like, back in the days, it was drink, go home,
Yeah.
maybe clap some cheeks or beat your wife, I don't know. And then go to sleep, wake up the next day, work for 12 hours, and repeat everything.
Yeah. Whereas now you can play Minecraft instead of getting laid. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's what I've been doing all my life.
Yeah.
I mean, like we talked about earlier, who needs to get laid if you can just play him? Actually, there is a funny story. I think I told it to you once, but I will
Yeah.
tell it on the podcast. I hope the other person involved in this story never hears this.
Yeah.
There was this one occasion, like 2 years ago, I think, where I was in this kind of situationship, friends with benefits with a girl, and she was very cool. But that one evening, I came over for, of course, what you come over in
Minecraft.
that
Yeah.
situation. Not Minecraft. That's something that comes later. And she was on the phone with a friend, and I was a bit bored sitting around, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to even fuck.
Yeah.
And Casper and Eric were texting in our group chat about playing Minecraft. And I was like, man, I really want to play with the boys. No homo. Like, I really want to play some Minecraft with the homies. So after the girl, like, hung up on her friend, and they finished their conversation, she was like, so what are we gonna do now? I was like, well, what I'm gonna do now is go home because I have to have a conversation with my friends because they are planning this trip. And she was like, oh, okay. So I went home as fast as I could to fucking play Minecraft with my friends instead of getting late.
So wait. I know you've told me this once, right? But
Yes.
so you went to the girl's place, right?
Yes.
So you did go.
Yeah, I did go.
And you sat there. You
Yeah.
watched her on a phone call.
Well, I sat in another room.
Okay, so you sat in another room, not even seeing her at all. Just having this whole ass girl there, like with fully functional genitals and everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like fully ready.
Fully ready, just one phone call away from doing whatever you were planning on
Like
to do.
10 minutes away.
Exactly, 10 minutes away, and you're just in this room, right? And you're just like, you know what, fuck this.
Yeah. I completely went, fuck this. I want to play with my homies.
Yeah.
And it was worth it. Like, what would be 2 minutes of fun compared to like 4 hours of
A lifetime of fun, actually.
4 hours. 4 hours of playing with the homies, laughing my ass off, being annoying as fuck to them.
Yeah.
Shout out Casper and Eric. I know I can be fucking annoying, and I know they like me for that. They have to.
I love that. I mean, if you think about it, yeah, one's just 2-minute fun,
Yeah.
right? Like, what is even fun? Just, I don't know.
No, but I don't know. It just a mood like that sometimes.
Yeah, but that's true. I mean, you don't always have to.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most important thing. I mean, sometimes you can just sit there and try to learn how to sing and drift off into ASMR about things that can't be said on a podcast or anywhere else because it's too racist.
Yeah, exactly.
Just racist ASMR.
Just racist ASMR,
Just the sound of a whip.
See, the thing is, I can't. If anyone hears this, I mean, I feel like my friends will understand, but if anyone who knows me not that well, they hear this, and they'll just be like, "Just can you please just go back to where you come from?"
People tell that to me, and I am from here.
Why do people tell that to you?
Well, they usually mean, please go back home. We don't want you here. No, they don't.
No, but I mean,
it's not that we like. I mean, there is a kind of PG filter we put on for these episodes, but at some point there will be a like unfiltered episode. Like, I think, and that's a little teaser for the 10th episode. The 10th episode will probably be the Big Man's special. That's Casper, Eric, and me, and probably Amy too. And the amount of censoring I will have to do there is gonna be much.
Yeah.
And I think there will be a like special link for the homies and everybody who deserves it.
Ouch. Do I deserve it?
Yeah.
Really?
But it's gonna be in German, so you're fucked.
Yeah, see, I really want to, support the podcast and shit. And I've been on Spotify and I left it like, 5-star reviews. And I played it from like beginning to end. And just fucking understood nothing.
Well, that's...
Because I'm that dumbass,
That's already more support than Casper's giving. That motherfucker said to me, hey, you know what? I stopped listening after my episode. His episode was the 4th. We're on episode 8 now.
No, but...
Yeah.
I mean, I like that you're doing, normally it's more PG.
Yeah, but this shit isn't.
Yeah, but...
I mean, if this was like everything goes, well, fuck, this podcast would be looking way different.
Yeah.
I mean, no. I
just,
can't even talk about it.
Just say it. What were you gonna say?
No.
Okay. Move on.
Yeah, let's move on from that topic.
Move on.
That brings me to something. Eric kind of introduced this new idea of the Trap House Kitchen playlist, where
Yeah.
every episode we add 2 or 4 songs. So, what would be your song recommendation of the week?
Well, oh, I mean, I have one right now for this. The one by Pink Guy. The Sex Daisuke.
Oh, the Japanese one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's life.
Yeah.
That song gives me life.
It's gonna be hella funny in the playlist because last time we added like very deep songs.
Oh shit! I didn't know what vibe you were going.
No, there
for.
is no particular vibe. That's the good thing. It's like when
Yeah.
you put this playlist on random, you will in one moment cry, and in the next one just think about on what kind of people's recommendations you listen to.
Yeah. So everyone will know I recommended this one. You know,
Yeah,
it's a fucking good one.
it's a very good song. Yeah.
It gives me like hope. Whenever I'm like depressed,
Yeah.
I listen to that song, and I'm like, shit. You know, someone feels the same way as I do. For once.
I can't understand Japanese, so I'm fucked anyways.
I mean, he's just saying how he wants to have sex,
Oh yeah.
right?
Okay.
So I'm just like, you know what? I feel you.
My song recommendation is of the newest Suicide Boys EP, and I can't really pronounce the end, but it's called Finding Shelter in My Larynx. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it
Yeah.
will be in the playlist. It's an amazing song, and if I could, I would put all 3 of them in, which I probably will by the end of the next 2 episodes. Yeah, just the amount of consistency that these boys have this year. They have put out so much, and they
Yeah.
will put out even more. And that's always a thing. You have all these people hyping up the newest Lil Uzi release, the newest Travis Scott release, and they took years for that. And everybody is just like, after it drops, like, yeah, it's mid. Just imagine putting in 5 years of hard work. And then the first comment, yeah, it's mid. Whereas in the community, like, the Suicide Boys fan base is always viewed as this, like, cult almost.
Yeah.
And I love it because it's a very supportive community. But if people don't like something, they will straight up tell it to everybody, but they will get cooked.
Yeah.
Like, if you see a comment somewhere about, like, oh, Suicide Boys is so whack, you will have 10 replies of, man, you should just seek Jesus or Satan
Yeah.
in this case.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the tough thing though, because I feel like, see, that's great because as an artist, I mean, from a very selfish point of view, obviously, as an artist, I'm happy to see that if people react that way to my work, you know, they're very defensive, they're very, you know, enthusiastic. But that's from a very selfish and personal point of view.
Yeah.
But that's what I always worried about even when I wanted to become a writer and now, like, you know, becoming whatever, script writer, filmmaker, whatever. If I put out my shit and I'm just like, hey, yo, I've worked so hard on this. I've worked my whole life, let's say, because a lot of people do put out things that they've worked on for their whole life, right?
Yeah.
And then they put out these things. Imagine just someone just goes, it's mid.
Yeah.
That would just
Would
crash me,
brutal.
right? But that's just a fact,
Yeah.
right? Because people pay for that shit. They have every reason to call it mid,
Yeah.
you know, if
and
they don't like it.
just their opinion.
Exactly.
And but what I think is the thing that's so different about the Suicide Boys community, it's that there is a connection through more than music, because the topics that they discuss in their music and that surround them are very private, and it speaks to people on a different level. Like, there are many people who say, like, yo, this shit saved my life.
Yeah.
And for them, it really did, because they would have killed themselves if this shit didn't succeed. And I was at a Suicide Boys concert this year, which was like one of the most beautiful experiences of my life up until now. And it was just like, they said it during the concert. It's like a big ass family gathering.
Yeah.
And them just taking the time of, before mosh pits, going like, if somebody falls, help him up. If you don't, we end this shit right now. And in the end, when things get very emotional, them just having a like 2 or 3 minute speech about mental health and their
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
Just speaking to people, motivating them to better their lives. Just like you don't find that very often.
Yeah.
And through years of this, they built this family of a community. Whereas and they did it on a very healthy rise. Like they took their time. It's not like they just appeared on the scene one day.
Yeah.
Of course, they had their boost through TikTok and stuff that went
Yeah, yeah,
viral.
yeah.
But if you have artists like, for example, Coil Ray, like she dropped a project recently, and not even some of her fans know that she dropped something.
Yeah.
It's like if you have artists that are just there to put out this mass-produced music, it's just like, who the fuck is gonna care?
No, that's true. Yeah.
And in some ways, I feel it's the same with like movie and TV stuff right now, because you have so much stuff that's overproduced just to something that people will watch because it got a name on it. Like most of the new Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Back in the days, it was something special, something they put so much thought into it. Now they just do it as a cash grab, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just feels that way.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I feel like that's the case with like so many things, like music, you know, film, TV, books. It's just that if there's a cash grab, people are gonna do it, and there's no effort put into it. Like, I think obviously there's still, like, for example, in music, Suicide Boys, there's still very thoughtful, meaningful things
Yeah.
that people actually put effort into that come out, you know. But at the same time, there are loads of things that, you know, just a cash grab.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, it's so difficult, especially now that, like, I know a lot more about the industry and everything. It's so hard to, for example, like, condemn people for doing that shit, because it's money at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and it's an opportunity,
it's a fuck ton of cash.
right? It's like, for example, like Robert Pattinson, he evolved into an actual, you know, people regard him as a very good actor now.
Yeah.
But he started with Twilight.
Yeah.
Right? He started with Twilight. And if I was Robert, let's say,
Yeah.
at that age, and people are going to be like, yo, we have this, like, why do I keep saying yo, but like, hey, we have this, like, vampire shit coming up, like, you know, it's a big production, whatever, we're going to make it like a saga, it's based on novels. I just, like, a, you know, still up and coming actor, I would have said yes,
Yeah.
because it would have got me to places. And it did get him to places. And same thing with Kristen Stewart, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, not the best film, very entertaining, not the best film, not the most, like, artsy or meaningful thing that's ever, no, it's not. But it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And it got him to places, right? So now we know him, Robert
And
Pattinson.
it's always like people say, and as long as you don't sign away your soul,
Yeah.
like that's a huge thing in the music industry. Some artists just sell their soul basically
Yeah.
to the industry, and that's why some stuff is like so. It's like so many people take part in music that just is supposed to be pretty like artist driven. Like when I look at big artists, I can't take them as serious as like people like Suicide Boys, like smaller artists. even.
Yeah.
Because the smaller artists and the Suicide Boys, they do this stuff themselves. Like they produce the beats, they write their lyrics, of course they have people for mixing, mastering, and the management stuff. But then you have like these mass appeal albums where you have 15 writers, and the artist is basically just there to give their voice.
Yeah. True.
And in some examples, it's like, I don't know which artist said it, but he's basically said like, yeah, of course you can have as many writers if you want, but at the end of the day, who's gonna sing it like me? Then again, there are so many examples of there will be 100 people who can do this shit better than you.
Yeah.
And
True.
the only thing that's keeping you up is that you are pushed by a label.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
What's your point of making music if you don't make it yourself?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't write your texts, what's the point of you being a rapper?
Yeah.
Rap is supposed to, like, have you speak your voice.
True.
And other genres too, of course. But if you have someone else write your text and do all the creative choices and you just give the voice,
Then what's the point?
you aren't an artist, and your producers deserve all the money that you get.
Exactly. Which they obviously are not getting even
Yeah.
half of that money.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Like, I just... Because that reminds me, like, recently, I don't know if I don't know that well, but I know that, like, for example, recently Doja Cat has been getting, like, loads of backlash
Yeah.
for, like, hating on her fans.
Yeah.
And, like, I actually really liked her, like, her music and shit. I like listening to it. Like, I like her as a person. Like, I thought she was really entertaining and shit. And she basically now she's saying how, like, she doesn't want to do all the mainstream stuff anymore. Like, she doesn't like the fame.
Yeah.
You know, she's sick and tired of the fame, which I completely understand, right? But at the same time, it's like, woman, the only reason why you're even here and you have a platform is because of that mainstream shit you did.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you have to acknowledge the fact that, like, she did start with, like, for example, like, what's the song that she did? Like, the cow song. Like,
Yeah.
she did that, like, that's kind of how she got people to know her. And
Yeah.
then obviously a huge label was pushing her, and then she had like those two very, you know, mainstream albums that come out, and now she just hates her stuff. And then now she's like, I'm gonna do, like, you know, I'm not mainstream anymore, I'm gonna do my own music.
Yeah.
What I'm actually into now.
Maybe because her contract with the label ended.
Yeah. And but sometimes I'm just like, bro, like, cool, you're doing your own shit, great, but at the same time it's kind of like, that doesn't mean you just fucking deny everything before. Like, if you just start with that, probably you wouldn't be as famous as you are today,
Yeah, of course. It's like a stepping stone.
right? And it's like, no offense, but like, based on the quality of the music that she's brought out after, you know, the transformation or whatever, I'm like, bro, it's not even, first of all, it's not even as indie as you think it is.
Yeah.
It's really not. And second, they're not that good.
Yeah.
You know, they're not that good as music. Like, they're okay music. I listen to them maybe just playing in the background, but they're not anything phenomenal. So don't act like you're like a god and be like, oh, fuck my fans. I don't need a fan base. I hate the fame. And I'm like, I get that. I really do. But at the same time, you have to realize that's literally what got you here today. Like, all the money that you're sitting on,
Yeah.
and the fact that you have the opportunity to do what you like now, as you say, is because you were pushed by a huge label.
Yeah.
It's because you had the fame and the basis from before.
I think the thing that most people, or that makes people hate their previous stuff when it gets to that point, is that they don't control the creative process.
Yeah.
So most of them kind of resent the previous projects because they realized that they were just a puppet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something I completely admire about Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars, for
Yeah.
example. Because Bruno Mars has been this huge artist for
Yeah.
years. And Anderson .Paak himself, like, Eric and I talked about Silk Sonic in the 6th episode. But Anderson .Paak is also a very high regarded artist. But those two are true musicians. They both have a very profound knowledge of vocals, instruments, and everything. And they have a creative vision. And even with the backing of labels and stuff like that, they always kept in control of their creative vision.
Yeah.
So the whole Silk Sonic thing is something that feels like it's a project from them.
Yeah.
You always have to feel like the artist through the music.
Yeah.
Like, when you have this completely over commercialized music, it just, like this radio music, it could be anybody. Those are replaceable artists. But you couldn't have Silk Sonic without Anderson .Paak or Bruno Mars. Like,
Yeah.
replace one of them and it just goes to shit.
Yeah.
You couldn't have, and it's a huge success. And it still is. They haven't fallen from grace like so many other artists do, because there is so much of them into the project. You can't have someone else do Silk Sonic.
Yeah.
You can have people do something in their style, but they can only do it in their style because they laid the groundworks.
Yeah.
And even if Silk Sonic goes back to like jazz music, but still I think jazz music in some points is one of the most true music forms there is.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
soul, jazz, because yeah,
Of course, yeah.
I mean it's the thing that hip hop came from.
Yeah, yeah,
And now that hip hop is this, like, it's the biggest music genre there is.
yeah.
But then again, go back 20 years and you have a way truer form. Like, why do so many people like to go back to the roots and say music used to be better? It's not because it used to be better in quality, but because it was more personal.
Yeah. I think it's a really tough thing because again, the same thing with like books, films, everything. People often say, "Oh, it was better before."
That's
Right.
nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like for me, I'm guilty of that too. Like sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, I miss, the older something something, the older something, whatever that thing might be." But at the same time, I guess time is just like this industries and shit is just evolving.
Yeah.
So we now have a different standard of like appreciation. We just
Yeah.
appreciate different things now. We have a different standard of what's good.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this topic, like even in lesson, like when I forgot who mentioned it, but someone was saying, people could do edits on TikTok. Like they don't actually do it though. It's like a lot of things are like automatic. Like they kind of like have this program and it's very easy to edit on TikTok.
Yeah.
And you could just do it. And even like some people obviously put in the effort to do it themselves, but I guess like some others, they kind of just do like an automatic edit with music, photo, whatever. They just upload it,
Yeah.
So, and even same thing with like, for example, AI art. AI art is not perfect. In no way perfect. But at the same time, it's kind of crazy to see how far it's gone.
Yeah.
So it could still produce like quite complete, looking artworks. And people are like fucking terrified because they're like, if this keeps going, this is taking away like what I do for a living, like editors or like illustrators. If this just keeps going, God knows where it's going, right? So yeah, even with that, like people are scared, but at the same time, it's like if technology does evolve and one day we realize, oh shit, this can do everything that I do, well, it's time for you to figure something that you need to do that technology couldn't. And if you couldn't, then fuck this, right? What can you do, right? So this is
just sucks.
Yeah, because I told you I was like rewatching like playthroughs of Detroit Become Human, and I was just thinking like, because the people in the game who are like, oh, ban the fucking androids because you're taking away my job. But this is the tough thing, is that if technology does in fact evolve to a point where they can replace humans, it's time for us to rethink how society should work and how we should deal with our relationship with technology.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is, It's not to say like, oh, TikTok and shit like that is bad. No, technology is gonna evolve anyways, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing when artists were like, yo, this AI art will steal everything from us. I was like, yeah, welcome to the music industry. Like, big labels took everything from smaller artists since forever.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of radio shit you hear, which is basically, it feels like it's AI produced because, like I said, it has most of it sounds the same, has no meaningfulness behind it. It's like AI art for music.
Yeah.
And that's also a thing, when people say, yeah, today's music sucks, then most of them refer to like the charts and radio stuff.
Yeah.
But what I always hear when people say, yeah, today's music sucks, is you haven't taken time to actually go into the deep dive on
That's true.
actual artists
That's true.
who still do music like it's supposed to be done. And that's why I have this crisis in terms of music for myself, and I haven't made music in a while because I was just so demotivated that I couldn't come up with anything anymore, because I was like, okay, what's the point of it? Like, I don't have anything meaningful to say right now. I'm not just gonna do some random ass shit I either do it because I have something to say or I have something funny to do.
Yeah.
But I would never make like music that's just straight up for mass appeal.
Yeah.
Like music that would get me signed in a label and played on the radio. Like so many artists I listened to actually said that before. I never want to be played in the radio. That's like a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like of course there are radio stations that like are specific for independent artists and stuff like that. But on like the big radio shows, if I would go big into music, I would never want to be played there. Because that would just mean I would have become something of a mass appeal thing.
Yeah.
A puppet, basically.
Yeah. Exactly. But it's like,
Of course, it's a stepping stone, but then again, do I want to have this Doja Cat situation where in 5 years later I resent myself for what I do? Or do I want to be the Frank Ocean type of dude who just finessed the whole industry?
yeah.
Have you ever heard of the Frank Ocean story?
No, what's this one?
So, if I remember correctly, man, it's warm.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, Frank Ocean had this deal with Apple,
Yeah.
and they paid him like 20 million for an album,
Yeah.
and for an exclusive album. And he produced an album for them and did like this whole lead up thing of a stream that went on for days, that pretty experimental stuff. And then the album dropped, which got him out of the contract. But the day after he got out of the contract, he dropped his real album
Yeah.
by himself,
Yeah.
which was, I think it was the album that was like his most successful one. And of course, he hasn't dropped anything really since then, which is a bit bad, but still, he managed to get the paycheck from Apple, give them what they wanted, just something they could use. They didn't give a fuck about the music.
Yeah.
They just wanted Frank Ocean.
Yeah, true.
So he got him something, but the thing he really poured his soul into, he kept for himself.
Yeah.
He just used Apple as a stepping stone to get more money and more popularity.
But I fucking love that.
That he just finessed the whole industry.
Yeah.
And more artists should strive to be like that.
Yeah, like that reminds me of like an artist back home. Like he's a musician, like singer.
Yeah.
So he writes his own music, he sings his own music, and then basically like he really likes music. And what he does is that because back home in like East Asia, we have like loads of fucking reality shows where celebrities go on them. So for like a period of time, he was in every single one of them because that makes him a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
And then he came out, he takes the money, obviously, all the money, and then he puts it into making his album because he said, I need the money to make music.
Yeah.
So then when he has concerts, the concerts are for free.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So like you just go online, you try to, grab a ticket. So tickets are for free. So he said, I'm doing this because I want to prove to people that I'm actually in love with music.
Yeah.
I'm making all this money. I'm on those fucking reality shows because I want the money for music. And that's it. And when I heard that, his concerts are for free and shit, I was just like, man, that's a real artist, Like he really cares about his shit and he really puts the money and effort into doing what he likes.
Yeah.
Like I really respect that. Just
Also, a funny thing about concerts.
yeah.
Concerts aren't as profitable as many people think.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was Lady Gaga, for example. She lost so much money on her first tour. Because, I mean, it was sold out. But her creative vision was so expansive
Yeah.
that it just didn't break even.
Yeah.
And it goes like that with many things.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when concert tickets are so heavily priced, it's like because the artist wants to have a profit on top of breaking even with the things he does for the concert itself.
Yeah.
Because a tour can be so goddamn expensive. Like, look at the shit The Weeknd is doing.
Yeah, I know, right?
Or Post Malone,
Like insane shit. Like that's a lot of fucking money. And the tickets are not that expensive if you think about it, you know?
The K-pop industry sometimes has pretty fucking expensive tickets.
Oh, yeah,
But they are
that's
doing
true.
like world tours
Yeah.
and performances and everything.
Yeah, but I think there's also a difference between like East Asian artists, especially like, I'm not sure about K-pop, but I know that back home in like China, a lot of artists charge so much money for nothing.
Yeah.
Whereas people, you know, K-pop, for example, the stages and everything is fucking amazing. And a lot of other concerts over, like, they do crazy ass shit. And they don't even charge as much as people do back home.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, because I feel like, I mean, because obviously we both game a lot. And mobile games is like on the rise.
Yeah.
And I always have this mixed feeling about mobile games because it's like what we said, it's a cash grab. It's a cash grab. I'm not saying no effort is put into it because some effort is put into it, you know? But at the same time, I'm like, a mobile game, ones I have played at least, and ones I know about, they're just kind of, you know, at the end of the day, repetitive. Yeah. And they're not actual games because you can spend money to make your game more enjoyable.
Yeah.
That ain't a game.
No, that's pay to game.
Yeah.
Not even pay to win, just
pay to game, yeah. And that ain't even like a DLC. Like a DLC is extra content. You do fine without a DLC. But with mobile
Except
games...
for EA games.
Yep. See, EA is just what, like, fucking... People say, like, you know, when you play The Sims,
Yeah.
people who make mods should get paid.
Yes.
Because they make the game so much more enjoyable than, like, the actual DLCs.
Yeah.
Like, I've downloaded this one... Obviously, I've downloaded the one that, like, you can make them have sex. So obviously, I have that one,
of
for
course
sure.
you do.
And then... and then I have this other one, which is, like, a drug dealer one. So much fun. And then EA could never.
No.
Right? EA could never. And it's just sometimes I'm like, okay, these people who make the mods, they deserve a raise. Okay? And they do that shit for free as well.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, what the hell, guys? So yeah, I don't know. Just when I see like mobile games and shit, I'm just like, Jesus. Like it's straight up cash grab.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And then the actual... Because the thing is, mobile games is huge back in China. Like, huge. And people spend unimaginable amount of money on it. Like, I have spoken to people, or that I have known people who would say, like, they have spent, let's say, like, 600 euros or 700 euros in a game. Like, a mobile game. Just one game, right?
Damn.
And that's not even... like that impressive, if that makes sense. Yeah. So a lot of people who spend that much money, they would say like, oh, why would I get like a Switch? Like I have to pay for every single game. And I'm just like, motherfucker, you could buy a Switch and like 3 other games with the money you've spent on one game.
Yeah.
Like you could, you know? And I'm just like, bro, it literally doesn't make sense to me sometimes.
To me neither.
Yeah.
I mean, pouring 600 into a mobile game that just is fun because you pour more money into it, it's like useless when you can just take the 600, buy a Switch with Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, oh my god.
And just have fun with Tears of the Kingdom forever.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, we both were on this period when Tears of the Kingdom came out where there was almost nothing else.
Yeah.
Except for Tears of the Kingdom. And... that's just so much better than just having this weird ass mobile game.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because even when I remember speaking to this one friend from like university, and we were talking about like, she was like, what have you been doing lately? And I was like, oh, I've been playing Zelda. Yeah. And then she was just like, oh, you should play Genshin Impact because you like Zelda, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I will not play that game.
I played it for a while, but I can't.
I'm just like, but the thing with that is that you just have to, I hate to say this, and I hope people don't come for me, but that ain't a game. You know, like mobile games is its own thing. Yeah. Mobile games. They're not games, right?
They are a way to pass time.
Yeah.
an addictive way to pass time. It's like smoking
Exactly.
cigarettes.
Yep, exactly. But the thing is, like, for me, because when I talk about games, obviously, officially, it's not considered an art form. But I would strongly argue that games could very much, potentially become a new art form.
Definitely. I mean,
Right?
there are awards for best art direction and everything in the gaming industry because
Yeah.
that shit is art.
Exactly. Like, that's what I think as well. And
It combines so many art forms. It combines music, cinematography.
I know.
And writing. Everything kind of culminates into games.
Yeah. And, like, I just find it, like, wild that, these mobile games that people consider games, they've not seen a game.
No.
Like, when I played Death Stranding, I was just like, this fucking thing is a piece of art. I know people don't like it, and I understand the reason why.
The delivery simulator.
Yeah, I get why people don't like it. I completely get. But I loved it because I do think, like, Kojima is, doing something new.
He's an artist.
Yeah, he's an artist, and then everyone knows that he's a cinephile. Like, he grew up watching films and shit. Like, that's, like, his main thing. Like, he could become a director if he wants to.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean,
that's...
look what he produces.
Exactly. Like, that's, like, his thing. Like, films is his thing instead of, like, games, to be fair. Like, he, that's, like, his expertise. And that's why he does so well, because he incorporates elements from, like, other areas of, like, humanities into games. And I look at the effort they put into that. And you show me motherfucking Genshin Impact. How can I take Genshin Impact seriously? Like, I can't take that seriously. Like, that's just...
The best comparison I can think of is comparing a TikTok to a movie.
Yeah.
That's the difference between mobile games and, like, things that Kojima puts out.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no.
And it's not to say, like, oh, fuck, Genshin Impact, it's awful. It's not to say that. It's just to say that, obviously, like we previously said, standards are changing.
Yeah.
Appreciation standards are changing. But there is no way you can convince me that one is not better than the other. Because one is.
Yeah.
That's Genshin, no.
Fuck no.
Yeah, because one is.
It's just Tears of the Kingdom.
It's Zelda, That's why I'm not getting laid. Whoa.
Same here.
Yeah. But, like, this, like, story about Final Fantasy? I don't know if you've heard.
The story about... No, I don't.
So basically, I'm pretty sure, like, that's the story. I might be completely wrong. But the reason why they made, like, the first Final Fantasy is because Square Enix, like, they were fucked. They had no money. They had money to make one last game.
Yeah.
And they called it the Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah, well, and look what it turned into.
Look what it turned out, right? And yeah, like, I just hear stories like that and I'm just like, oh, fuck, Just sometimes I really want to get into that industry as well. Because now it's changing. It's not just about the mechanics, the game design, the graphics, whatever. It's a lot focused on, like, the writing, the story, how it... like, how basically... cinematic it looks is quite important as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously with technology, like, you want the game to look fucking,
Now with Unreal Engine 5, things can be photorealistic.
So it's like, I think it's, I would love to get into that industry. If I could work at Kojima production and Kojima is just like, be my dog, I'll be like, woof, I'll just do that.
Yes, basically. I originally wanted to get into game design.
Yeah.
Like, I almost applied for a uni.
Yeah.
That's right across. It used to be right around your corner.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, games are definitely good produced games that are not made by EA. Like, I don't look to buy the same game every year just to play fucking football or soccer.
I know.
Or however people want to call it.
Yeah. Like, that ain't a game to me, either.
Like, the core concept, of course, is a game, but it's not very well produced. Like, it's just the same thing with radio music.
Yeah.
It has no soul in it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the thing, like, I think because I've had this discussion with so many people, and they're like, why do you not consider them as games? And I'm like, well, there's a very clear thing you have to distinguish, is that when I talk about games in this sense, I'm more talking about, like, game art. Yeah. Instead of, like, a game. Like, rock, paper, scissors is a game,
Yeah.
But when I'm talking, like, or what qualifies as a good game, or, like, a well-made, Like, you know,
Yeah.
that's more about like it being a game art instead of a game. Like anything could be a game,
Yeah.
you know? But that's just, games started as rock, paper, scissors and shit like that. You know, that's a game. But now, like, look how far we've come. And
Look at God of War, for
yeah,
example.
fucking hell, right? Like, these are fucking games. Like, that's like games that could be considered as art.
It's an experience, a game, and so many things in one.
Yeah.
Speaking of an experience, I think we should end today's experience because we're already at like 1 hour, 10 minutes.
Oh, no. No shit.
I mean, we could do this for like 2 hours, but maybe we'll save some stuff for the next episode.
Okay.
To end the podcast, I always let the guest have the final word, so choose your words wisely on what do you want to say to the people who listen to this episode.
Are you sure you want me to have the final words?
Yes, I can censor it if I don't like it.
Okay, because a lot of things are in my mind now, and I'm not sure if I can say any of them.
Just say what you want.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say something really normal. Well, thank you all for listening. Please support the podcast. Please. Or else I will come to your door and force you to listen to the podcast.
And eat their dogs.
And your cats if you have any. So just be careful because I'm motherfucking Asian. I eat anything.
So she will turn your hamster into a fucking
I will turn your hamster into a fucking
dessert. And with that, thanks for listening. Danke, dass ihr zugehört habt. Bis zum nächsten Mal. See you next time.
Genau.